The San Diego State Aztecs, their football team, on Saturday night, it was their first night home game, first night 7:30 game of the year, playing against Idaho State, and they got the 36-28 win. Jalen Maiden, he was one of the stars, obviously, in the first game of the season, couple touchdown passes. This time around, he was doing it with his legs. He had a huge rushing touchdown with 6:50 left in the game, left in the fourth quarter as well, obviously. That was one of two rushing touchdowns. That touchdown was like over 50 yards, broke some tackles, and that it felt like that sealed it. Now, this game was probably too close for comfort. Idaho State, you should probably not allow them to score as many points as they did or score more points than you did. Make the margin bigger than what it was. So that's something that is going to have to improve for this Aztecs team when they're going to face off against UCLA, like they will next Saturday. Uh, Oregon State, Boise State, like that's going to have to change. But Maiden doing things with his arm, doing things with his legs, that's encouraging for sure. And hopefully there's some more creativity that's going to be coming from this offense, this Ryan Lindley offense. Sure, San Diego State, they benefited from a safety in the third quarter. But at the end of the day, obviously there's things to critique about the San Diego State win. But at the end of the day, it was a win. And they're 2-0. And now they're going to be underdogs against UCLA, who beat Coastal Carolina in their first game of their season. Because remember, State had a week 0. This past week was week 1. So it will probably be a tough test for the Aztecs, but I'm sure Snapdragon will be pretty packed, and because UCLA fans will travel as well, and San Diego State fans, they see the UCLA name and they're going to want to probably come as well. So hopefully that'll be a good crowd there. And there was also some San Diego State related news that I wanted to hit on because the Mountain West could be welcoming in some new members here soon. Washington State, Oregon State, they're the only two remaining members of the Pac 12. We know Oregon and Washington and Arizona State and Utah. We know a bunch of schools have left. And the latest are Stanford and Cal, SMU as well, but they're not in the Pac 12, leaving for the ACC starting 24-25, that school year there. Stanford and the ACC, Stanford, Cal, going and playing against North Carolina and Virginia Tech. That doesn't sound right because it's not right. But a lot of it is based on the TV revenue, football, right? That's the big driving force here. So it's unfortunate what's happened, I think, to college sports and the rivalries, the regional rivalries. But that's what it is. And San Diego State, Pac 12, it ended up not being an option. They were going to go to the Pac 12. Like it seemed like, I think it was reported that there was an agreement in place, but the grant of rights ended up not being signed. Oregon, Washington leave, and it just falls apart. So they were there. They did their part with the stadium and all that. They put themselves in position, and that's all that they could have done. And now at the Mountain West, if they get Washington State, if they get Oregon State, they become a stronger conference, I believe. There is a report out, though, that I did see about Washington State, Oregon State wanting to stick with the Pac-12 and try to do the conference. But I just don't see how that's going to work because there's exit fees from teams in the Mountain West if they were to leave for the Pac-12. Where those two teams left in the Pac-12, I'm sure some type of agreement could be reached for them to go to the Mountain West. Or no, well, there's no TV media deal for the Pac-12 anymore because it's not going to be a conference. So I don't think there's going to be an exit fee. So they could just go to the Mountain West, and maybe the Mountain West would become that fifth Power 5 school, with the Pac-12 obviously not existing. So that's something to be paying attention to here as we move forward. I would welcome Washington State and Oregon State. I mean, because that would turn into a pretty good top 4 or 5 schools, right? Football, basketball, with San Diego State, You could throw Fresno State in there, but Boise State, obviously, Oregon State, Washington State. There's some good programs there. Um, Good specific sports as well. So, sure, wanted to be in the same conference as Oregon and Washington and Stanford and Cal. Like that would have been cool, but obviously that wasn't an option. Again, State did what they could, and it just ended up falling apart. So it's unfortunate, but that's just what it is.